All right, and we are back. And as we repopulate here in our chat, I'm going to move on now because we got plenty of time here to talk about some other details. And we're going to talk about the DCG trick. Let's talk about that right there, the DCG trick. All right, hey, beginning guitar lessons. We're back. We're back. We'll figure this out. We're about to talk about the DCG trick, and I'm going to take a sip. In fact, I'm going to play it for a minute, and then it'll make even more sense when I talk about it. All right, thank you guys for bearing with me. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about the DCG trick. Personal favorite of mine for a bunch of reasons. The musical reason it's a favorite of mine is it sounds so good. It's so easy. And there's so many famous songs that are directly related to this thing, and even more that are indirectly related, such as, Sweet Home Alabama, beginning guitar lesson says, yeah. Okay, so I could talk and talk and talk about the phenomenon of the DCG trick, but let's talk about actually doing it. It's an extremely common chord progression that is based on the D major chord and a modified C chord. Now check it out. The whole trick to this, if you want to call it a trick, the ring finger stays where it is, second string, third fret. There's my D, the ring finger stays, my index and middle move over to where you need them to be for this modified C chord. It is not a regular C, it's a modified C. Cadd9 is the official name for it. So the ring finger did not move. Index finger, D string, second fret. Middle finger, A string, third fret. Okay, a Cadd9. Remember the thing about major chords have 1, 3, and 5 from the major scale? We still have the 1, 3, and 5. There's the 1, there's the note C. My index finger, fourth string, second fret, that's note E. I have the open G string, no jokes. And then here's the magic sound, D, second string, third fret. If you want to, you can include the open skinny first string. It creates a nice harmonic effect. Or you can put your pinky on that first string, third fret. Personal preference. Depends on the song, depends if it's your song, then you can do it however you want. Okay, if you're just joining us, thanks for making the leap over here, everybody. We're talking about the DCG trick. There's the book right there. I mean, I can actually say I wrote the book on the DCG trick. So D to this Cadd9 with or without the pinky. Personal preference, depends on you, depends on the song, to the 4-finger G. And this does involve the pinky on the first string, third fret. There's no fancy name for this G. I call it the 4-finger G because what you see is what you get. D to Cadd9 to the 4-finger G. There are so many songs that either go exactly like that or they're related to this, okay? So what I did was I made a YouTube video. Actually, I made a video without YouTube in mind and later uploaded the video to YouTube. And that's my number one video. I know it was 11, 12 million views. And like beginning guitar lesson said, it's how he found out about me and might be how some of you found out about me too. It's a good video. I did not expect it to be. I would not have predicted it would have been the thing that I'm famous for, that I would end up writing the book on the DCG trick. Okay, so physically, I just want to confirm you guys are good with this. Standard D chord, the ring finger stays glued down, Cadd9. with or without the pinky, optional pinky on the first string, 3rd fret, the ring still stays down for the 4-finger G. I can't emphasize how important that is. If there's any mandatory part of this, it's keeping that ring finger down. Because this should not ultimately be a hard chord change. You know, with a little bit of practice, it's no big deal. Okay, you got the physical nature of it. Ring finger, you're gonna have a good dent in that ring finger right there. You know. Okay, so you've heard people use this. Sweet Home Alabama is the tip of the iceberg, but so many songs either use this exact chord change or slight modifications. As that Neil Young, that's how Neil Young used it. Okay, the Beatles did something very similar for Dear Prudence. Can't You See by the Marshall Tucker Band. Gonna get a freight train all the way to Georgia. The train runs out of track. I don't know all the words off the top of my head, right? It's based on specifically this D, this C add 9, this G. Okay, very quickly, quick legal disclaimer. Because the video has millions and millions of views, it has been misunderstood by a few people who are trying to misunderstand things. Nowhere in the video do I tell people, hey, instead of learning regular C, this is a way you should do C for the rest of your life. And that's what some people got out of the video. It's a 30-minute video, and somehow that's what people got out of the video. I don't know. Why is it 30 minutes? I made it for local public access TV, and it was a 30-minute show. So I spent 30 minutes talking about the ins and outs of this, and later I uploaded it to YouTube as one of the very first videos I ever uploaded to YouTube. But as we know, a 30-minute video on this one thing, that's a long video, but it wasn't filmed for YouTube. It was filmed for people who are going to be watching it live one time, and then it's gone forever, and I wanted to make sure everyone knew stuff. I don't know. Go figure. Anyways, this is not a substitute for learning the regular C chord. If you're writing a song, you can substitute it for a regular C chord. If there are famous songs that you want to learn that are on my list right here, I made a list of famous songs that use this. How about More Than a Feeling by Boston, White Room or Badge by Cream, Cuts Like a Knife by Bryan Adams, Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin, Small Town by John Mellencamp. These are some of the songs that either directly use this or they use something very similar. Okay, so the DCG trick, why do I call it a trick? Because it's a cute little guitar thing. And trick sounds better than if I just called it DCG chord progression. No, DCG, I don't know, it's a little trick. In my mind, all this stuff is little tricks, little riffs, little, they're all cute little tricks. You got a bag of tricks, in case you're curious, yes, some very grumpy people of the millions of people who watch the video are outraged that I would use the word trick. They just can't believe I would do that. Now, on the flip side, some of my fellow YouTubers made copycat videos. The video is officially called The DCG Trick, What Famous Bands Did with Easy Chords. That's the name of the book and the name of the video, right? So pretty quickly afterwards, or eventually, I saw copycat videos like, tricks with G, C, and D, like a lot of bands or something like that. Like, seriously, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. But I mean, I guess it's a compliment. Okay. So how does this relate to you? Okay. In this book are a bunch of songs without being literally like, note for note versions. I thought I was being all shrewd. This is my first book I ever wrote. And so I thought I better not say, this is how you play More Than a Feeling by Boston. I better not say that because I'll lose my home. So instead I called it a Boston style riff, and it's, you guys know More Than a Feeling by Boston, right? You know, is it exactly the same as More Than a Feeling? No, I want to change it just a little bit. I'm so used to playing the actual song that I have to like read my own, read what I wrote. Okay, so if you're curious, it's $10. It's full of famous songs or extremely close versions of famous songs that use the DCG trick. This all started, by the way, when we first opened our music shop, my wife and I, in 2006, we had a whole bunch of teachers who would essentially rent rooms from us, right? They would teach lessons in those rooms, and some of the money would get kicked back to keep the store up and running, to pay for lights and bills and stuff like that. So I was hanging out with one of the teachers, and I said, "Hey, man, you know this thing with a D and Cadd9?" And I named like 3 or 4 songs that use that riff. He said, "Oh yeah," and he named 3 or 4 more. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, now that's a phenomenon, right? That's a thing. If there are 10, 15 famous songs that are based on this, that's a thing." So that stuck in my mind. And when I was filming these videos for public access TV, because I thought that'd be a fun, easy, free thing to do, this was the theme of one of the videos, the DCG trick. So my wife sat behind the control board. I don't know how familiar you guys are with public access TV, but you got to get someone to do the brain stuff. We did it live. So she's behind the mixing board, doing different camera angles, different words in the bottom of the screen. If you watch the video, that's all her work. If you ever watch the DCG trick video that I made, it's on my YouTube channel. What you're seeing is in real time. There's no edits. So when the camera angle changes, it's because she had just learned how to do this. She's behind this big control board in this cable TV studio, and she's like, boom, different camera angles, different words on the bottom of the screen, da da da. And I'm just up there talking and talking for 30 minutes. And then she would kind of give me a high sign. You know, when we did these videos, we did 12 or 13 of them. The high sign was like time to wrap it up. And I would wrap it up, and that a half an hour video took a half an hour to make. Those were the days, man. So anyways, if you have watched, if you do watch that video, just know that I'm just a monkey up there, just talking, and she's making it all happen in real time. Those are the days, right, sweetie? Those were the days. Little did we know that would that those are still among my most popular video. Go and they all look like they were made in 1974. Just the studio. It's a long story. Okay, let's talk about you guys. Joseph, you got your guitar. You ordered it through Martin. Okay, but there was a dealer out in California, and that dealer acted as like they were the middle person. Gotcha. Beautiful, man. Congratulations. My advice to anybody who buys a beautiful acoustic guitar is make sure you humidify it. Even though where you live in California, I bet it doesn't get incredibly dry the way it can get super dry out here. Then again, I don't know. It's always a good idea to humidify any acoustic guitar, new or old, anywhere you live. Humidifiers, you can get them on Sweetwater. They have a whole bunch of options, and you're never going to hurt the guitar unless you humidify it with some that's sopping wet and dripping water all inside your guitar, which you would never do that. It's always a good idea to humidify any acoustic guitar. We'll talk about that sometime. I will maybe next live stream or some upcoming live stream. We can talk about different ways to humidify it. You'll never regret it. And best case scenario is you keep your guitar from developing any sort of cracks that are related to just getting super dried out. So yeah. Oh, Wingo, I think I know what you're talking about. Wingo is saying you can take that grip. And Wingo, if this is not what you're talking about, I apologize, but I think it might be. 4-finger G, Cadd9, my ring and pinky didn't move. And this is a kind of a funky kind of F chord. At least in my mind, I think of it as an F chord. So G, C, and this weird F. It's a very cool sounding chord. Wingo, is that what you're talking about? guys know how many songs have C, F, and G, right? Well, now you got a very interesting way of playing a CFG song or writing your own CFG song. I'm not, yeah, Ringo, you got it, good. I'm not saying when you're faced with an F chord, this is what you should do instead of the proper F chord. I'm saying write your own song with that G and that C and that F. The G that I call the four-finger G, the C add 9, and this F. If you were to press me for a name of that chord, it's an F. It's an F major chord, but we are adding the 6th degree, the 6th scale degree, and the 9th scale degree. Oh, like F6/9. You ever see that? A chord that is a 6 and then a slash and then a 9. So, I mean, I guess this could be an F6/9. Anyways, yeah, knock yourself out. Off the top of my head, I don't know any famous songs that use this weird F6/9 business. Doesn't mean you can't use it. I just don't know a song that uses it. I always like to give an example, right? Of like, oh, that's Crosby, Stills, and Nash did whatever with that chord. Okay, I'm going to wet my whistle. Hey, you guys, let's go for a few minutes. I want to turn you on to a few of the global guitar greats that I am learning about. Just to wrap up, if you are interested in the DCG trick book, it's an ebook, $10. You can get it at song-bike.com. Very cool. There's I believe with this one, you get the book emailed to you. It's not a physical copy. You get the electronic copy, but you get audio tracks of me playing everything included. I think this one includes the audio tracks. And then I think you get a video sent to you. Well, let's see what I said in the book. My excuse is this is 5 years ago. You definitely get the audio. Maybe it's just the audio tracks that you get. Anyways, head on over to song-bike.com. Every once in a while, you guys ask me how you can support the show, which, believe me, I'm so grateful that you guys are supportive that way. And I'll tell you what, buying yourself something from my website, then we both win. You know, you get some pretty good quality educational material, if I say so myself, and I just put your money right back into what we're doing here, you know. So I appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna grab my agenda here because I want to say everybody's name right. I got 5 of these. You ready for 5 global guitar greats as depicted in the most recent issue, the December issue of Songlines magazine? Okay, we got 2 guitarists from the Congo. One of the most famous guitarists from the whole continent of Africa, Franco, goes by the name Franco, played a Les Paul mostly with his thumb and his index finger. And in the video that is going to be in the description of this video, you can see him doing that. Very cool sound, beautiful black Les Paul. You're going to love this story. Franco taught himself how to play the guitar. He was working in a recording studio / record label warehouse, packing records. And when the musicians would leave their guitars behind for the day or whatever, he'd sneak in and teach himself when he should have been packing the records into the boxes. And that's how he learned how to play the guitar. How cool is that? And one of the guitar players who he inspired and influenced, Ringo Starr, R-I-G-O Starr, Ringo Starr. If you're familiar with Paul Simon's album called Rhythm of the Saints, Ringo plays on the song called Further to Fly. Only one problem. He plays great. That's not the problem. In the credits, he's credited as Ringo Starr. It's a pretty big typo. It's very unfortunate. But also from the Congo, Ringo Starr. So there'll be a link to one of his YouTube videos in the description of this. Number 3 on my list tonight of global guitar greats, Paco de Lucia from Spain. Flamenco guitar, but he kind of bridged old school flamenco with what started being called new flamenco music, some jazz and classical influences. Beautiful stuff. I think you're really going to like the video of Paco de Lucia playing nylon string flamenco style guitar. The list would not be complete without Django Reinhardt. Django Reinhardt from Belgium, one of the first guitarists to play the guitar as a single note lead solo instrument. You might say, but wait, that's what you do on the guitar. No, no, no. There are many, many situations where the guitar player was relegated to playing the chords. Why? Because the saxophones, they got it. They got the melody. They don't need the guitar player to play the melody. Plus, we're not loud enough anyways. So the guitar players, they're in the back doing that as loud and hard as they can. They're competing with the drummer, the piano player, no electric guitars, right? That's how the resonator guitar got developed, by the way, the one with the big silver circle, finding new ways of making the acoustic guitar louder. Well, the electric guitar gets developed with amplification, and someone had to be the first, right? Or some people had to be among the first. Django Reinhardt was among the very first people to play what we consider now to be just electric lead guitar, melodic single note lines. Back then, they would have said, oh, he's playing like a saxophone player would be playing. Now we just call it guitar playing. Anyways, you got to get hip to Django Reinhardt if you're not already hip. Incredibly influential guitar player, very unique. What everyone mentions, and I got to mention it too, because of a fire, his ring and pinky were essentially rendered useless on his fretting hand. So when you see him play and hear him play, he's playing pretty much everything with his index and middle fingers, including chords and extremely fast runs. Beautiful stuff. It's beautiful music, even if he were playing with all 4 fretting fingers on his left hand. But you have to give him some credit for doing it all with only 2 fingers. Django Reinhardt. Okay, last one from India, VM Bhatt, B-H-A-T-T. You're classically trained, playing instruments with essentially what we would consider to be a modified guitar, instruments with like a lot of strings, right? A combination of melody strings, drone strings, and sympathetic strings. Who's a fan of VM Bhatt? Well, Eric Clapton had him play at one of his Crossroads guitar festivals. You know about these festivals Eric Clapton produces? This was 2004, but VM Bhatt was a featured performer at Eric Clapton's Crossroads Festival back in 2004. And some of you might have learned about him the same way I did, which was on a Rycooter, with a collaboration with Rycooter called Meeting Across the River. The specific video that I included, that will be in the description of this video, it's a YouTube video where there's only himself and one other musician. And the reason I chose that one is because I don't want you to have any doubts about where all the music is coming from. In some of his videos, there are multiple stringed instrument players on stage. And I thought it'd be cool to see a video where he's the only guy with a stringed instrument. I think it's him and someone playing percussion, basically Indian percussion. The instrument that you will see him playing, I'm sure it's not pronounced, Mohan Veena, Mohanveena, Mohan Veena. And I'm including a Wikipedia link if you want to learn more about that instrument. Anyways, okay, there you go. There's our 5 global guitar greats. It's so much fun for me to watch those videos. I take too long doing it. Because I want to find videos that I think that I connect with, that I think you guys will connect with. So it's very fun for me, but it takes a lot of time. So there you go. All the stuff I'm talking about, there will be links to it in the description of this video. Okay. Hey, I turned off the poll. Yeah, Joseph referred to it correctly as gypsy jazz. Django Reinhardt is known, the style that he plays is known as gypsy jazz. And here's the thing. When you watch a Django Reinhardt video as a guitar player, we focus on him, and it's a beautiful, amazing stuff. His partner, Stefan Grappelli, is a remarkable violinist, and you almost can't separate the two. You need to hear them both together. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. I remember vividly when someone turned me on to Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli. That's when you work at a guitar store with hip people, they they turn you on to hip stuff. And someone gave me a cassette tape, like a homemade mixtape of Stefan Grappelli and Django Reinhardt. Oh man, I had never heard anything like that in my life. I was a young guy, 19 years old, never heard anything. Okay, so moving on. Before we wrap up tonight, the poll results from our poll question. Here we go. The question was, do you want to sing and play at the same time? Is that a goal of yours? And the majority, the 40%, the plurality say, nope, that's not my goal, 40%. 32% said, yes, that is my goal. I would like to do that, but I find it difficult, which I understand. 22% say, oh yeah, and I do it already. I got it. And then 5% was other. So thank you for voting in the poll right there. Hey, Tasha, thank you for chiming in the chat. I want to say a few hellos. Tasha, hello. Joseph, DAC Poet. Charlie, thank you guys for being here. Wingo, thank you for being here. Zoologia, I hope you're still here. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Beginner Guitar Lessons for being our moderator tonight. Okay, my friends, before it's time to go, I don't want to forget to wish you happy Thanksgiving one more time. Those of you here in the U.S. Who are getting ready for Thursday's Thanksgiving, I hope you have a great time. I hope it's a quiet time full of food and family and making that list in your head of all the things that we're so lucky to have in our lives. And it's a never-ending list. That's what I'm going to be doing. So I want to wish you guys happy Thanksgiving. Just to check a few things off my list before I say goodbye, I'm going to throw three things. We got time? Yeah, we're going to do 3 fast things. And then I'll say goodnight. I'll try to make it worth your while. And I'll see you guys next Saturday. In case you're wondering, do I have a dumb question? Sure, I have a dumb question. Here's my dumb question for the week. You ready? My dumb question of the week. I ask these questions so you don't have to ask the question. My dumb question of the week. What should you play when you're in a guitar store and you want to try out a guitar? What do you do? You know, that feeling of someone's eyes on you, like, oh, I don't want to, you know. I know that feeling. I still have that feeling. You know, one of my favorite guitar players from New York City, Jim Campolongo. I watched an interview with Jim Campolongo, extremely talented guitar player, a musician's musician. And I'll never forget, in this interview, he said, when I walk into a guitar store, suddenly all I remember is D. Yeah, you know. Okay, so what do you play? It's a dumb question, right? What do you play when you try out a guitar? I don't know. You just play. You play. But what do you do? You know. I'll tell you what I would do. What I do. Good old E major chord. Acoustic guitar, electric guitar. You do want to hear what an E major chord sounds like on that acoustic or electric instrument. You can tell a lot about an instrument by how that big E major chord sounds. E minor, if that's your jam. Nothing. I would have no problems. My ego would have no problems walking to a guitar store, grabbing a $5,000 Nick Huber guitar, Nikhuber, Santa Claus, if you're listening. Nick Huber out of Germany. Pretty cool instruments, easily $5,000. And you know what? I would grab it. That's what I would do. I want to hear that E major, maybe A major. You know, nothing, no shame there. You want to hear how that sounds, you know. Hey, any scale. Could be that little pentatonic B.B. King box. That's the thing we did on the play along song. 4 3 5 4 3 5 3 5, right? On the 3 treble strings. You know, simple, easy to remember, but yeah, you want to play that. If you feel comfortable, you're trying out a guitar, move it up the neck a little bit. I mean, it's a 5-note scale, but that's a way to test out a guitar. I know it's a dumb question. The question, just to ask it again, when you try out a guitar in a guitar store, what do you do? Last thing before I move on, I worked in a guitar store for 12 years outside Chicago, and so I was that guy, right? There's no one in the store but you and me. You come in and try out a guitar. There's no one in the store, right? Let me tell you, I remember almost nothing of any human being who ever tried out a guitar. So no matter what impression the person might have made at me at that moment, it was gone 5 minutes later. What I can tell you is the only people who stood out in my mind when I look back were the people who were surprisingly good, like way better than me. I thought, whoa, that person is great. Someone who's like a quote beginner or not particularly advanced in the guitar made no impression on me whatsoever. So even though we all think the person's listening, and maybe they are listening to you, I don't know, maybe they're bored, they have nothing better to do. They're not going to remember you, my friend. They aren't. They just aren't. So there you go. That's my dumb question of the week. Okay, should I sell out? This week I was flooded with three offers from the same company that would like me to sell you e-cigarettes, vaping supplies. The same company. They tried 3 times to get my attention. So that's a little segment we call Should I Sell Out? Those are the offers this week. E-cigarettes times 3. Who's in town this week? We got a Steely Dan tribute band in town across the street. They're playing 2 nights. I've heard they're great. A band called Bo Bolero. Bo, B-E-A-U. New word, Bolero. That's who's in town this week. Now you know. Okay, 2 concepts that I want you to think about. Number 1, improving as a musician versus becoming a quote better guitar player. You always want to be improving as a musician. Becoming a better guitar player, your fingers moving faster, getting better at an F chord, memorizing certain things. Yeah, that's work, right? That's work. And there's not always shortcuts there. Sometimes you just have to do something 1,000 times, right? That's becoming a better guitar player in a real physical sense. Becoming a better musician, sometimes that's what happens during a lesson, say, or you watch a YouTube video. You pick up on some information that you didn't have. Maybe a light bulb goes off, you get a concept in your head. Doesn't mean your fingers move faster, but give yourself credit if you just became a better musician because of it. Maybe it has to do with the idea that you can play a solo using both a minor pentatonic and a major pentatonic, like I indicated for Trouble in Mind. Okay, well, you might not have had that in your mind before. Now you do. Makes you a better musician. When Howard Levy prompted me to rethink how I teach blues scales, expanding the blues scale to include more notes, that made me a better teacher, right? It made me realize, hey, wait a minute, I can do better, So this is a subject that we'll return to, but I want you to give yourself some credit for those moments when you grew, even if you didn't get better aim with your pick, or you didn't suddenly finger pick faster, ... right? Your bar chords didn't instantly get better, but give yourself credit of those moments where, whether you knew it in the moment or not, you became a better musician. Okay, one more thought. You got to be over-prepared. If you have any aspirations for performing or simply impressing your roommate, impressing the significant other in your life, you got to be over-prepared. You can't play something correctly a few times and then say, look what I can do. I mean, go for it, but it's like 50-50. That 6th time, it's like 50-50 if that's going to sound as good as the 5th time did, right? So I want to plant this seed in your head that it's realistic, understandable, normal to be to understand something, play it right a few times, but not be ready for prime time yet. You got to over prepare. You got to do it so many times. I'm talking about anything. Let's use that turnaround as an example. Okay, you got to do it wrong a bunch of times. You got to do it right a bunch of times. You got to do it with your eyes closed. You got to do it while you're distracted because the cat just walked across, the table in front of you. I don't have a better phrase for it than being over prepared. But I want to, some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you are like, well, I've been in that situation where I thought I was good at something. Then I went for my lesson and I sounded worse all of a sudden. Yeah, you got to be over prepared. So the flip side of what I'm saying is it's totally normal to do something pretty well for 10 minutes and then you got it. And the next day, all of a sudden you're not there again. Yeah. You got to do it at that level day after day after day after day. And then you're over prepared, but then you go to play it and either you play it perfectly or, and this is important, you either play it perfectly or you're so good at it that when you make a mistake, you glide through it. You keep on going. And you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, playing through mistakes. If you can make a mistake and keep right on going, that's the goal. That is the goal. Playing it perfectly is not the goal. Newsflash, because you're not going to play it perfectly every time. You're going to make plenty of mistakes. And if you can play through a mistake, you're a pro. I mean, that's a real sign of a pro. I have made so many mistakes in playing for you guys. Mistakes / unintentional sounds. The show must go on. And sometimes they're so subtle, but you know it didn't go the way you wanted to, right? So again, to recap, if you're not playing something consistently, it's normal. Consistency comes from so much repetition, and that's normal. That's how I have learned everything I've ever learned, is by just doing it so many times. So I call that being over prepared. And one sign that you're over prepared is that you can play through a mistake and the show must go on without even missing a beat, So there you go. It's a little something to think about, being over prepared. And sadly, it's humbling, right? It's all humbling. You do something 10 times and you've got it. So how can you possibly make a mistake? Not just on the 11th time, but the 12th time, the 13th time gets worse, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? And you have to fight your way back to where you were the 10th time. Like, oh my God, by the time you do it the 20th time, now you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, that's what we call normal. That means you're human, So you go through that process for a few days. Yeah. So my hope for all of you, we got 24 of you hanging in there. My hope for all of you is that you've had that experience one solid, memorable time where you eventually got it, whatever it was. And that turnaround is such a cute little short thing, but it's also extremely recognizable. So if you mess up, everyone knows, everyone, oh, what just happened there, right? A little bit of pressure for sure. That's the kind of thing that I hope you have one thing, whatever it is, that you've achieved that level of success, because then there's the proof, right? There's the proof that you stick with something long enough, you can do it. If you can do it with one thing, you can do it with 10 other things. Like I always say, the big variable, the big question is we don't know how long it's going to take, right? Is it going to take you 4 days? Okay, then you just hang in there and do it for 4 days. It's like when your power goes out. It's not fun when your power goes out. Part of the reason it's not fun is you don't know when it's going to come back again. If someone said, hey, man, for 4 hours, you just got to deal with it. Okay, got it. When it goes out and there's no end in sight, that is hard, right? Same thing with this, right? There's no telling. Like, the guy said if I did it 20 times, it would be good. Well, maybe it's not. So that's why people like me hopefully don't say, do it 20 times, you have it. So that's the killer. How long does it take to get good at the guitar? I don't know. No one knows. We're all so different. No one knows. We all define it differently. Anyways, there you go. Being over prepared. Okay, my friends. I hope you had fun. I had fun. I almost finished the whole cider. Almost. I think we checked off a bunch of the things here in our weapon of mass instruction, which is the Songbike Guitar Q&A live stream. Okay. In a minute, I'm going to say goodbye, but give me 5 minutes and then I'll put all those YouTube links to all those musicians I talked about. I'm going to put that in the description. All right, you guys, thanks for being here. I will see you next Saturday. Be well. Have a great Thanksgiving. Those of you who are outside the U.S., I guess no Thanksgiving for you this week, but I hope you have a great week no matter what. Hope the weather, wherever you are, the weather is the way it's supposed to be. I think it's a good thing to wish for. Just normal weather, whatever's normal in November. I hope you guys have normal weather in normal seasonal weather. All right, you guys. My weekend begins now. I'm going to go home and see my son. He's home from college. Woohoo! Pineapple pizza. I'm excited. I'll see you guys next Saturday. Take care. Be well. Thanks for watching.